Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Today I want to talk about how I got my first property, and it may be easier than you think. First of all, I just want to say I'm not a financial advisor. I will be talking about your 401k in this video. So first of all, my first property I bought back in probably 2019. It was a duplex on the north side of Indianapolis. So I think with newer investors, what we really get focused on is where's the money going to come from. And obviously that's a very important aspect, especially being new in investing. Sometimes it's a little harder to get lenders to say, oh yeah, definitely we'll lend on this. I will start by saying the first thing you can do is house hack, which is buying a multi-unit, like two to four units, which you can get with the FHA loan. And you can live in one side, rent the other side out. That's the easiest way to get started, but that's not my route, so I'm not going to tell you too much about that. I can probably make another video on that later. But how I got my first unit is first and foremost, do you have a W-2 job? And if so, this video is probably for you. So with most W-2 jobs, you get a 401k. And with a 401k, I'm not going to give you any advice on how to use your 401k except for how I used it in my real estate journey. So I'm not going to say most, but a good majority probably will let you take a loan from your 401k. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh no, what about your retirement? Trust me, my W-2 job is not what I'm focused on for my retirement. That's why we get into real estate, is to be financially free and, you know, be able to create our own, live off our own lifestyle, not, you know, based on a 9-to-5 or however. If that's not your goal, I really don't know what your goal is in real estate. So just to give you a breakdown, I called my 401k company, which is Fidelity, and I just said, hey, what are my options on borrowing from my 401k? I can't really remember how much information they gave me, but they sent me to the website. Like most places do these days, they just send you to the website and say, hey, check out these options. So you have, in my 401k, I had like 4 or 5 different options. There's the, if you're buying a house, like your residential house, you can borrow for your down payment, which is cool if you don't have the down payment. It's just another way when I hear people have excuses for things, it's like you're not really digging deep enough. So that's one, but I couldn't use that because this is a second property. This is an investment property, so they wasn't gonna let me do that. And then second, they just got some loans where you could borrow up to 50% of their value, but to that you had to be 50% invested, which in my company, I believe you have to be with the company for 5 years. So that's just another thing you have to look at. How long you've been with the company, how much money you even actually have. So then the other options is what they call a hardship withdrawal, which is, say something happened like hospital stay and you wasn't able to work for 6 months and you got behind on your bills. They would just pay you out a certain amount of money, which I believe has up to like a 10% penalty. And then there's just a regular withdrawal, which definitely comes with a 10% penalty and taxes, whatever. But what you want to look for is you want to look for a loan, not a withdrawal. Big difference, obviously. The beauty of this, in my opinion, is you when you borrow this money from the 401k, they will charge you an interest. I think it's up to like 7.5%. So if you borrow $20,000, they're going to charge you 7.5% on like an extraordinarily long loan, like many years. So mine came out to, I think I borrowed like $20,000. I think it came out to like $150 a month I'd have to pay back. $158. So that is taken away from your, you know, monthly income. But I knew that when I was buying the real estates, I had to justify that. Plus, to justify that $158 that I was paying back, I'm paying back to myself. I'm not paying back to anybody else. I guess the interest that they charge is in place of the gains you would have had if you would have kept it in the market, which maybe not. Just depends on the year. So for me, I just went online. I requested that loan request. Honestly, I think I talked to somebody I didn't even have to fill out any paperwork. They just approved it because I met all the requirements. So I had that money. 2019, the prices were obviously a little less. So I went and bought the duplex for $61,000. So after a down payment of 20%, I still had some of that $20,000 left. So I was $61,000 in. It already had a tenant downstairs, and it had a tenant upstairs. They was overall downstairs was paying like $695. Market value was probably about $950. I've kept them. People, they've lived there for 11 years. They pay, so I kept them. And over the 3 or 4 years, I think that I've got it up to like $755 or something like that. Not too much more. The upstairs, the person moved out shortly after I bought it, and then I went in and put some money into that. Probably about, I said all in all in the property, I put $20,000 in. So I'm $80,000 in altogether. Plus I borrowed the $20,000, which covers a lot of that $20,000. So after I did the repairs, it was about a year and a half, 2 years later, maybe the 2021, or no, maybe 2022, somewhere in there, somewhere right after COVID, I did a cash out refinance. So when I did that, I was $80,000 in. The cash out refinance gave me like, well, they appraised it at like 120. I end up getting all my $20,000 back, my repairs, all my money back, which essentially is kind of a long-term BRRRR. You can follow the other BRRRR videos on the channel. But I got all my money back, paid back my 401k, paid back any of the money that I had put in the house. So I got my first property for free as the way I do my investing. That's the whole goal. Now, there is an opportunity that you buy the wrong house. It costs way too much money to put into it, and you potentially pay on that 401k for 10 years. If you can handle that, well, on top of that, which I didn't mention, the cash flow on that property is about $500 a month. So if I took a majority of that, paid the $158 back that I owed, if I still owed it, and then paid back, kept 30% aside for repairs and other stuff, because it will need a roof at some point. I know that, so I have to put money away for that. And all in all, with the cash flow, which if anybody knows anything about real estate, that varies. Some months I can have the full 500, and sometimes I'll have to do a couple $100 repairs. So all in all, that's how I got my first property. Borrow from the 401k, buy a property, put some money into it, refinanced it, and then paid the 401k back. Now my 401k is still at the same value that it would have been if I wouldn't have borrowed the money at all. So you obviously have to, I wouldn't say you got to educate yourself. You don't necessarily have to know everything, because it was my first property and I had very little guidance on how to help me. But one thing I did know is that I did the research and I knew the numbers worked. That's the most important thing. Now that same house, almost 5 years after I bought it, it's probably worth $160. So that's $100,000 in equity that I've gained over a 5-year period. Now, is this a scalable way of doing real estate? I don't know. It depends on how comfortable you are with continuously using your 401k. I do know that I would do it again, and I will do it again if I need to. If I need that money, I'm at a point where I don't necessarily need to do that, but I'm completely open to it. I have a deal right now which I get a really good deal on, and I could use the money with my 401k. The cash flow is not necessarily going to be great, but it's a $140,000 house I can get for $80,000 just because the seller wants cash fast. That's his motivation. That's his only motivation. Cash flow would probably be a couple $100. I'm not mad about that, but the true value there is the the home value, the equity that you're going to have in it. So it may sound easy, it may not sound easy, just depending on where you're at and you're investing. I definitely would suggest this to anybody that's not in love with 401k, because worst thing possible is you can take a hit on your 30, 40 year retirement, whatever you want to do. I'm not retiring in 40 years. I got a couple of years left. That's it. I'll take my 401k, roll it over into IRA, like most people with money do, and buy real estate out of that, whatever I need to do. But that's how I got my first property, and hopefully this brings some value to you, and you can, if that's the route you want to go, definitely do it. I would talk to a financial advisor, maybe even talk to your company that you do your 401k with. Obviously, they're going to want you to keep the money within them because they get to charge you fees. So they definitely want you to have that money in there for they can make more money off of you. Just remember that everybody's trying to make money off everybody, so don't feel bad that you're taking your 401k and trying to make something better for yourself. But if you guys have any questions, leave it in the comment. Make sure you like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to hear more about Dad Does Real Estate and the different stuff I do. And if you think that this video will bring value to somebody, just give them a share, and hopefully I can bring value to whoever's watching this. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later.